Have you actually ever thought what it is about humans that actually for many of us it is very difficult to admit, to talk about our positive aspects of ourselves? But then on the other hand, it actually comes much easier, much more natural to talk about those negative aspects. Hi, my name is Patricia. I'm counseling psychologist registered with HCPC here in the UK. And in today's video, I'm going to be talking about low self-esteem. So specifically, I will be talking about the mechanism of negative bias and how it operates. And also I will be talking what we can do to actually change that, to focus more on the positive aspects of ourselves, to enhance the quality of our day-to-day life. So now imagine a situation that you're meeting someone maybe for the first time, and during the conversation, the person actually starts telling you maybe how clever or maybe how good they are at certain things. So what would be your immediate reaction to that? Would you maybe feel uncomfortable about it? Would you start questioning that? Would you maybe describe them as being very proud and them needing to humble down? So in a situation where you're suffering from low self-esteem, it might be actually really uncomfortable for you to declare such statements such as I'm good at maybe playing piano, I'm really good at maybe cooking, or maybe saying that I'm adorable or stating that I'm clever. So making such statements or maybe hearing statements like that about yourself from someone else could actually make you feel embarrassed. You could start maybe worrying as well that you might not be able to live up to those standards that maybe you set for yourself or someone else set for you. Or there might be also fear that someone actually might start challenging those statements. But most importantly, we need to add that this inability to actually acknowledge what's good about you actually stands on a way of growing your self-esteem. And it might be that we have developed this low self-esteem very early on in our childhood, where maybe the feedback that we received maybe from our parents or maybe teachers were focused on our failures, on our mistakes, and we've been only asked to amend them. And also it might be that in that context of maybe making mistakes, you have been made fun of. So maybe let's take an example of a child who's maybe doing really well at school and it's really standing out with its performance. But because of that, it's also gaining negative attention from his peers. So in order to avoid that, the child might actually underperform, or even if the child is still doing really well, the child will really make any effort to hide their achievements and also the good qualities. And that as a result might lead then to the child actually starting to believe that their achievements are not a result of their hard work, but that may be a result of some sort of luck. And then because of that, that kind of child might actually stop valuing themselves, and that would then lead to them having low self-esteem. And then in that scenario, it just becomes very easy to see your faults, your mistakes, but it is very hard to see your good attributes. And obviously we all have faults and we make mistakes, but at the same time we also have good qualities. So to have a healthy self-esteem, it is important to actually have a more balanced way of looking at yourself. And actually some people, they believe that by acknowledging their strengths, they might become lazy, they might become satisfied with what they have achieved, and they believe that that will just stop them in performing even better, in achieving better. But in reality, self-acceptance is actually part of self-esteem. In a situation when we focus more on negative aspects of ourselves, the positive aspects of ourselves, they become less visible to us. To start working with your self-esteem, you can actually start making a list of positive aspects of yourself. Any skills, any talents, or maybe any achievements you can include in that list. But perhaps what's going to happen at this point, your self-critical voice is going to become even louder, even more uncomfortable. But that's alright, that's really, what we expect that will happen. And at this point also will be important to notice that although this self-critical voice at the moment becomes very uncomfortable because we are trying to challenge that, with time, the more we're gonna challenge, the more consistent we're gonna become, the better effects we're gonna achieve. In a situation where maybe your failures, they were highlighted, your achievements, they were maybe ignored as well, maybe your needs, they were ignored, maybe thinking well about yourself was really discouraged, it might be now quite difficult for you to actually think about any positive aspects of yourself. But you don't have to worry about making the list in one sitting. You can actually give yourself several days to complete that. Initially, it might be even good if you will be able to come up even with one positive aspect of yourself. In this book, Overcoming Low Self-Esteem by Melanie Fennell, she actually gives a whole list of different questions that you can ask yourself to help you actually identify any positive aspects of yourself. And I'm gonna actually include the list just here on the side. Another way of how you could start actually working with the low self-esteem is as well to ask someone to whom you trust to write the list for you. And that could be a starting point. And it is actually quite common that if you're gonna ask someone to do it for you, you might start actually questioning their intentions. So you might just say to them, oh, you're just writing that because you're just trying to be nice to me. You're just saying that because you don't want to hurt my feelings. And if that happens, then you could actually have on one side of the paper, you could have the list of those positive aspects of yourself, but you could also keep a list of those negative self-critical thoughts. So now that you have the list of your good qualities, whether you wrote it yourself or whether someone else wrote it for you, now you can actually start looking for these good qualities in your day-to-day activities. And again, it might take you time to find those aspects in your life. Initially, you might really struggle to do this, but the more you're gonna practice, the more you're gonna try, the easier it's gonna become. So now, if you would like to actually challenge your low self-esteem even more, you can take this exercise to next level. And you could actually take one by one of those qualities that you wrote down and try to imagine the situation when last time maybe you experienced that, when you show this quality to someone. So let's say if maybe one of your qualities is that you are really empathic, then think about the situation when maybe last time you've been empathic with someone and try to imagine it as vividly as possible. So even you can involve your other senses like hearing and smelling and touching and feeling. So the more vivid that scenario gonna be, the more impact it's gonna have on your mind, and the more impact it's gonna have on your low self-esteem. So if you're actually giving yourself enough credit for what you have done in that scenario, if your imagination is vivid enough, it will really have a huge impact on your self-esteem and how you think about yourself. So that is it for today, and if you enjoyed this video, then please like it. If this is the first time you're visiting my channel, then make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. So every time when I upload a new video or new short, you're gonna then get notified and you're not gonna miss out on any of this really interesting content. So I'm gonna see you in the next one, and thank you. Bye bye.